Hey guys, Elaine here. Super excited that you're joining me. I hope you and your family are doing well and staying healthy. So right now we're heading into barbecue season. And what's a barbecue without potato salad, right? So that's what this video is going to be about. And yes, I am using the starchy white potato, which is one that I usually try to avoid because what does starch do in the body? It turns into sugar, which then turns into fat, inflammation, and a host of other things. So this is a food that I typically try to avoid, but I'm going to a family gathering and others like potato salad. I actually like it quite a bit, hence the reason I try not to make it very often. What I'm going to do today is going to be a recipe that is made up as I go along. I've always made potato salad. I've made it with my mom, my sister, watched them make it, and I do it the same exact way. I don't take any measurements. So as we go along, I'm going to make it and guesstimate what I'm putting into it. Some people like their potato salad a little on the dry side, meaning not much mayonnaise in it. Others prefer where it's super mayonnaisey and you really just get every now and again a chunk of a potato. So I'm going to make it the way I like it. Again, I'll try to guesstimate the measurements that I'm adding to it, and I'll try to take measurements and add along, and then maybe at the end we'll have an actual recipe. I hope you enjoy it. I hope this will be a fun one for you and kind of inspire you for when you're trying to make something in the kitchen, just adding those ingredients here and there and tasting it and seeing what it's missing. That's what cooking is about, right? Just tasting the recipe as you're going along and seeing what's missing and what you need to add. That's the fun of cooking. So stick with me and let's get started. On the countertop, I'm starting with 9 medium to large size potatoes. And when I'm making potato salad, I typically try to account for 1 potato per person that I think is going to be consuming it. So depending on your family size or how many are joining you, that's how you can kind of start with the base of your potato salad. If you want to add a bit more, that way you have leftovers, consider doing that. For me, I honestly don't want any more leftover in the house because I definitely will eat it. I do really like potato salad. I also have a couple stalks of celery. I will be chopping those up in a bit, but I'm going to go ahead and get started peeling the potatoes. I'm going to rinse the potatoes off, and then we're going to do a step that's a little different than maybe what a lot of other people do, and actually probably even peeling the potato was a little bit different for you. I know growing up, my mom would just cut the potatoes maybe in quarters or leave them whole and then boil them. And that one takes forever. And two, touching a hot potato, ouch, to try to cut it. Of course, she would let it rest. There were times if I was in charge of making the potato salad, I wanted to just cut into them right then when they were hot. It's like, oh my gosh, that's so hot. So, in my own kitchen, what I do, I peel it. I'm actually going to dice it up into the sizes that I want, the chunks that I want. Then I'm going to boil them and allow them to cool that way. And then I will start making the potato salad from that point. Then I'm not worried about trying to cut a potato that may have overcooked and it starts to just smush, or again, a little hot, or when after it's cool, usually when you peel that potato, let's say if you boil it whole and you start to peel the skin, it's super easy when it's hot to get the skin off right then and there. So again, trying to touch that hot potato, ouch. So, and then if you let it cool, it's a little bit sometimes difficult to get the skin off. So again, for me, I find make things simple. I'm gonna do it this way, chop them up, boil them, and allow them to cool, and then we're gonna get started with our potato salad. So let me kind of clean this up a bit and I'll be back with you. Okay, so I have my potatoes rinsed and I have a pot in which I'm going to be boiling them. So I'm just going to take the potato, and depending on the size, I may cut it 3 or 4 times to get the desired thickness that I want. This particular one, I'm just going to give it 3 slices. And then from there, I'm going to, and a lot of times I will stack them right together again, but because of the way the edges are, I'm not going to do that because then I'll end up with a super skinny piece. So I'm going to just slice it. And all of my cuts are not going to be perfect because I'm not a chef, but I think, as close to being the same size is important because of how it cooks. So that's extremely important. But the cool thing to me when something is not perfect is that, hey, a machine didn't do it, right? So we are in the kitchen ourselves making our food, and that's what's really important. So the potatoes are all cut up. What we're going to do is I'm going to add water to cover the potatoes. We're going to get this on the stovetop. It's going to take about 10 to 15 minutes, more or less around 15 minutes for me to be able to pierce through with a fork. I'm also going to add a bit of salt to the water, and that way the salt kind of seasons it or gets into the potato, so it's not as bland when you go to eat it. I'll see you at the stove. As we are awaiting the potatoes to boil and soften, I'm going to go ahead and chop up my celery. I choose typically 2 stalks of celery for my potato salad. There are others who may like more of that crunch, so definitely add 3 stalks, or some who don't like it much and may add only 1 or none. It's totally your preference. I will say that celery is an excellent vegetable. Just the water and fiber content alone is excellent. And it's also great for skin health, like keeping your skin, I think, youthful and just hydrated. I love celery, so definitely do. I hope you do choose to include it. And growing up, I didn't care for celery much, but of course, the older we get and just understanding the health benefits of a food or the produce that we're eating, it's so important. As far as slicing the celery, it's totally up to you. I tend to like smaller pieces, so what I may do is towards the kind of flange or fatter edge of the celery, I may just kind of cut it like 1 or 2 different in 2 different spots. And I'm doing that so that all of my celery is basically like the same size. So you can kind of see I cut it here in 2, and then at the bottom I kind of cut it into 3. And then I'm just going to start chopping it up, and we'll be finished with the celery. Again, it's going to take about 15 minutes plus a cool down time for the potatoes before we get back together to put everything together into the potato salad. And actually, before I start the chopping process, growing up, we used to put eggs into the potato salad. So like hard-boiled eggs, we chop those up, stick them into the potato salad, and kind of my mom would place then like slices of hard-boiled egg also on the top, sprinkle with a little bit of paprika, I believe. There are times where I get nostalgic for the way things were growing up, and I may add something like tofu eggs. So if you did grow up with eggs too in your egg salad, or I'm sorry, in your potato salad, you definitely can look up my recipe for tofu eggs. Go through that baking process, pull it out before it gets firm as far as kind of drying out the tofu, so where it's a little bit softer, but you're going to have that egg flavor and also that sort of soft consistency, and you can stir that right into your potato salad. I hope that's a good tip for you. I'm going to turn it around to the other side because it helps just having it intact. So I'm going to go ahead and slice all the way up to that point where it's no longer intact. And also make sure that you have a great sharp knife because of course with celery, having the fibers in it, it kind of holds it, tries to hold it together. So you want to make sure that your pieces are separate individual pieces. Okay, so the celery is completely chopped, and just looking at the amount that I have here, I actually could probably do another stalk of celery. So I may chop up just a smaller one just to give, again, that crunch and also the color into the recipe. The potatoes are now boiling. I have set the timer for 15 minutes. So we will check back in after they are complete. I've taken them off of the stove and am allowing them to rest. I'll see you in a bit. What I typically then do is I will drain the potatoes and just allow them to sit on top of the pot, not on the hot cap, but I will just let them sit in the pot on the stove or maybe on a trivet on the countertop and allow them to cool. You may also choose to rapidly cool them down by placing them in the refrigerator. That does tend to dry them out a bit, but that is an option. The potatoes have sat for a bit and allowed to cool, so that's going to make them super easy to work with. However, they are still super soft, so when working with them, we want to take care not to mix too much, otherwise we may have something along the lines of lumpy mashed potatoes, and we don't want that. So I usually start with a large bowl, and I think that just kind of stems from childhood and our making so much potato salad. Whoa, couple pieces left there. So much potato salad for the family that I'm just accustomed to a larger bowl. And also though, I like it because as you're stirring, I don't want anything to perhaps be too close to the edge and it makes it difficult to stir. So really a nice sized bowl is one that you want to start with. I usually start with tasting one of the potato pieces, and that will let me know if I need to add salt or how much more salt I need to add to the recipe. So I'm going to look for like an average size piece, and I'm going to take a bite. It does have some salt in the potato, I can tell, but it does need more. Remember, we are making this recipe as we go along, so you definitely do that little taste in your kitchen and make sure that you're getting exactly what it needs. I'm going to start with another half teaspoon of salt, and I may actually add more as I go. We'll definitely see. And so when I add the salt, I'm going to add just a little bit. I'm going to take like a spatula And I'm just gonna lightly, and actually before I do that, I'm gonna add like a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper too. I am trying to limit the amount of times I actually stir this because they're soft, and I really, again, want to keep the integrity of the shape of the potato. And just so you know, I did allow it to rest for about a good 30 minutes before I started this process. So, and I didn't quite use my whole 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, but I'm just gonna stir that lightly. And that's what that looks like there. So if you can see that, you can kind of see some of the pepper on the potatoes. I'm then going to, now this time, I'm gonna do like a smaller piece. For now, I think that's good. The other thing that's great to add before you start adding the other ingredients is going to be sugar, or that bit of sweetness. In this household, we don't use granulated sugar, so I'm using the erythritol and monk fruit sweetener. I am guesstimating at the measurements. So right now I have a 2 tablespoon measure, and I am going to just lightly sprinkle that. I doubt if I use all of this, but we will see. And again, I'm going to do that sort of light stir so I can get the other side of the potatoes. And it looks, and I'm going to bring the camera, I think, a little bit closer so you can look into the bowl there to see exactly what that looks like as I'm adding the ingredients. Okay, so I hope that helps. But can you see like the crystals of the erythritol monk fruit, the sweetener on it? So again, another little light stir to make sure those are coated. I'm gonna add just a little more so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So ever so light. And again, just to stir to make sure that they are all coated. Okay, so just to give you an idea of how much I used, nowhere near that full 2 tablespoon measure. I'm going to now taste another piece, and I'm trying to get them as little as possible right now. I just want to know what that flavor is. Might need just a little bit more of the sweetener. And this way, by sprinkling it onto the potatoes directly before adding the other ingredients, it allows that potato to be seasoned versus just kind of in the mixture itself versus the actual potato. Okay, so I'm going to, I think that should be good. I'm now going to add my ingredients. So what I've measured out here is 2/3 cup of mayonnaise. I'm uncertain if I'm going to need all of this mayonnaise, so I'm going to start with maybe like a tablespoon, and it looks like I need more than that, so maybe like 2 tablespoons, and I could possibly use another one, so about 3 tablespoons, okay? And actually, because I want to limit the amount of stir time for the mustard, I'm thinking I will probably use or need about, I'm thinking honestly about 2 teaspoons, but let's go ahead and start with like 1/2 of a tablespoon. Okay, let's get that in there as well. And I kind of I'm so used to just taking that mustard and just squirting it over into it without measuring. So this is something that's new for me. So maybe now I will have a measure for potato salad. At least a guideline, because it really depends on how many potatoes and what your base is, what you're starting with. Okay, so I can tell I definitely do need more mayonnaise. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that whole 2/3 of a cup, and I'm going to add that in. And if I need more, I will try measuring it out, so that way we know exactly what I'm adding, or as close to exact what I'm adding. At this time, I'm also going to add in my celery, which is here. So I chopped the celery. So I'm going to go ahead and add that into the mixture. I'm going to take the sweet relish, and what I guesstimated was about 1/3 of a cup. And I'm going to drain that. So I'm going to put that into a little, you can see that, a little sieve. And I'm just going to try to get as much liquid as I can out of that. So because the liquid is taking up some of that room in that measure, I may need more. So we will see for that, but I really want to get that moisture out of it as much as I can. We don't want our potato salad to be runny. It's kind of stuck there on the bottom of my little sieve. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. So I'm just going to kind of clean that off of the bottom. And I'm going to put that in there too. And I'm thinking, by the looks of that, I might need a little bit more. So it might actually be 2/3 cup of relish that I'm placing into it. Okay, so for some of you, the way this looks might be like a great stopping point for you. I like a little bit more mayonnaise, so I'm thinking not quite another 2/3 cup, and I really want to see how it tastes with the relish, but I think I need a little bit more relish, and honestly, I will probably end up doubling that, so I'll probably do another 2/3, or I'm sorry, 1/3 of a cup of relish. Take that again, put that in there, and I'm just gonna, again, squeeze the liquid out of that. And then after I do this, I'm also going to try another section of potato just to see what that flavor is like. Okay. You know, I actually might not need, I'm gonna add just a little bit more mayo. And I'm thinking probably like a tablespoon. Okay, so probably about there. Okay. We'll top that back up. Okay. Okay, so let's try another section. I see a small one over here. I need just a little bit more salt. So I already put in a half teaspoon. I'm going to take another half teaspoon, sprinkle that in there, and again stir. We want to be very cognizant of how we're stirring that, just kind of folding it in as best as we can to make sure everything is getting coated, but at the same time not breaking our potatoes apart drastically. Okay. I think I probably need a little bit more mustard. So I put in a half of a tablespoon already. I'm going to add another half of a tablespoon. So mustard, we're most likely at 1 tablespoon of mustard. Again, I will clean this out. And I really think I could use more relish, but I'm just going to stir this in and see what I think before I make that decision. You know, as I'm mixing this, I'm thinking, once I get my measurements down, another cool option may be to, so we're not stirring it so much, is to actually stir your ingredients together first. So like the mustard, the mayonnaise, and get those together so it's not so much stirring of the potato salad. Okay. So let's see if I can find another, boy, I'm going to be full in a second here. Let's see if I can find another small piece. And kind of looking at this, oh, I think this is celery, but that's okay. That will give us just the flavor of the mixture itself. And that's actually pretty good. It does need just a little bit more sweetness. And what I could do, honestly, I have stevia, is just chop up some actual stevia leaves in there, and that might be pretty good. So I think I'm going to probably stop there with the sweetener. And I'm not quite at half, if you can see that, half of this measure. So it's probably around a tablespoon of sweetener for the amount of potatoes I have here. I'm just going to mix that in again. And of course, it's kind of deceiving with potato salad because as it sits, it's best to let it sit for a while. All of the flavors then kind of meld together, and then that's your true taste with potato salad. Okay, but we're gonna find another small piece here in a different fork. Let's see, let's go ahead and just try this right here. Yum. Great potato salad. And there you have it. Potato salad, make it as you go to make sure you get the right texture, the right consistency, the correct taste for you and your household. I have my potato salad packaged and ready to go to my barbecue. I hope you found this video very fun, and I hope you did it along with me. Or when you're making it, I hope you do make it along with me at some point in time. Let me know what you think about the recipe and how you may have tweaked it or what you added to make yours a little bit different. Maybe you added a little bit of ranch seasoning, or maybe you added some parsley and some other things into it. It's always fun to make our food the way we enjoy them or what we like in our households. Please like, subscribe, and share. Let me know if there's other vegan content you'd like to see from me, and it may be the next video soon. As always, my best to your health, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.